And coming to you from our studios at City National Arena, the minutes can't tick off the clock quick enough getting ready for Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final between the Golden Knights and the Florida Panthers. You're saddled with Dave Gosher and Ashley Weiss here for this version of the show. Ashley, this is Stanley Cup Final editions of this. This is pretty cool stuff, to say the least.
It is pretty cool stuff. Game 1 was unbelievable. The Fortress was rocking, to say the least. But Marshmello, I'm sure, Dave, you're a big Marshmello fan. I'm sure you could name many Marshmello songs.
I like the Marshmello.
Yep. He was outside T-Mobile Arena on Toshiba Plaza, getting the crowd going. Everything was amped up. You know, we talk a lot about the opens that the in-game entertainment crew puts on normal games throughout the playoffs, whatever it may be. This one genuinely blew me away. It's been really fun to see the reaction on Twitter, both from the VGK fans, the neutral fans who appreciate it, and, you know, the fans who always have something to say about Vegas doing too much. But this is Vegas, Dave. That's what we like.
Great stuff. Yeah, Marshmello out on the plaza, out at Toshiba Plaza. Then you had the
If you look close, you can see Dave there.
I'm not. And those are I should have been there. Those of you watching on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, we're showing that right now. The Marshmello situation before the game the other night. How about the Michael Buffer fella?
How about that?
House.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Good
if that doesn't get the crowd going, I don't know what will, other than a Game 1 win. So it
awesome.
might be a Monday, but I'm expecting a similar crowd tonight.
Yeah, I would hope so, right? And Game 2 ready for 5 o'clock, a little after 5 o'clock here, local time today. And, of course, Dan and Gary will have the call right here on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Lots to get to. Aiden Hill's unbelievable save the other night. The Golden Knights able to break through. Their depth offense comes through once again in game number 1. But one of the things I wanted to touch on, Ashley, was it seemed like it took the Golden Knights a little bit to get going the other night. You know, it felt like Bruce Cassidy even said after the game that it's good to win when you're not at your best. And I guess coming off the dismantling of Dallas in Game 6, as much as you'd say, okay, that's the blueprint, it's going to be hard to replicate that night tonight. But, you know, we were watching it, and I felt like once Marchessault scored to tie the game, then they got going. How was it from your lofty seat in the press box?
Yeah, I agree with that. I was way up high. Dave was enjoying himself in a suite during the game.
Yep.
But no, same thing. I mean, I think some people expected Florida to maybe be the team on their heels just given the 10-day break. They actually seem to come out with a lot of energy. But you mentioned Vegas getting to their game. That's something we've seen them do all season long. It feels like throughout the broadcast in the regular season, we always had some fancy graphic cooked up about all of the comeback wins. And Dave, this is also, they have 9 comeback wins this postseason as well. The most in a single postseason is 10. The Pittsburgh Penguins did it in 2009. The Colorado Avalanche did it in 2022. So that tells you something. This is a team that, you know, they obviously want their starts to be better. That's something that we hear on a consistent basis, but they certainly seem to find a way, and they definitely seem to get their legs under them once they got a little bit of juice. No surprise it came from an original misfit. That's another theme that we've seen throughout these playoffs is Jonathan Marchessault and William Karlsson especially just really driving the bus.
You know, and you think about it too, Ashley, you mentioned their numbers in comeback games. We saw that all regular season. Their numbers in the third period, same thing. So it's, you know, for a team that, you know, those words, find a way, they always seem to be able to do that one way or another. The other night it was more Marchessault scores on the power play. You know, we can get into the Shea Theodore's goal. You know, I chatted with him for VGK today, which aired this morning on our social media. And because I remember talking with Jack Eichel. Jack went through a stretch earlier this year where it had been a significant stretch of time where he hadn't scored. And I just felt like human nature being what it is that, God, that's got to just grind you to death. Yeah. And he said, he goes, if you're paid to score and you're expected to score and you're not scoring, it's tough. And he said you carry it with you home, you carry it with you if you're out at the market, you carry it with you, you know, you don't sleep as well. So that was kind of where I went with Shea yesterday morning, and he said, oh, yeah. He said, there's no question about it. And then he said after the interview, he said he felt like everything had been just a little bit off. So I do wonder, it's important for guys like him to score.
Yeah.
Jack Eichel to score, Jonathan Marchessault to score. I know Shea's a defenseman, and first and foremost, defending is at the top of the list. But I wonder now, you know, his ability to shake John LeClair or Anthony Duclair twice. John LeClair's not playing anymore. I say John LeClair because before I left the house, NHL Network had on Game 3 of the '93 Stanley Cup Final. And John LeClair scored in overtime to beat the Kings. So there you go.
It's relevant. It's relevant.
It is relevant.
He's not completely off
It is
rocker.
relevant. But his ability to lose Duclair
Yep.
and beat Bobrovsky, there's not a lot of guys
No.
that can do that.
And that's the thing, not only to score, but to score in that way, right? To dangle a guy like that, to have that kind of beauty of a goal. And you kind of touched on it, how you talked about how that can wear on a guy. Shea, you've covered him. Since year one, he's a guy, he wears the frustration on his face and in his body language, but he also wears the relief on his face and in his body language as well. So, in your time covering, how much do you expect this to make a difference and this to give him the confidence through the rest of the series?
Yeah, I think usually it does, Ashley, for him. We always talk about it always comes down to his legs and getting moving, and Shane and I will be watching because there's really not much for us to do. Yeah. And we'll be like, all right, go, get your feet, go. Because he can, we always joke he can be the one-man breakout. He doesn't need, he's probably the best they have or one of the best at transporting the puck up the ice. But he can take care of that all by himself. So I do think, and I do expect or hope that ability.
Yeah. I've noticed that
I never
too.
know which cameras
Our cameras are a little off.
Yeah. Hi, how are you? It's a radio show on television. So I'm like, which camera do I don't know. I'll just kind of look down. I do expect that to kind of be a springboard for him.
Well, it's something Kelly McCrimmon said to you when you talked to him during the Dallas series, was that's one of the beauties of this team is that there's a lot of guys who could be the hero, but no one has to be the hero. So it's got to be good for him that he gets a little pressure taken off of himself just by the fact that, you had Zach Whitecloud score a goal too. Yeah. So you may not get a defensive goal from Shea Theodore every night, but you have guys like Zach Whitecloud who at any given moment might bust through in that way as well.
And that's the thing with this team, right? You never know where the goals are going to come from. You get 2 from defensemen the other night. It's funny, you mentioned Jonathan Marchessault, one of the misfits, and he's a guy I think that he just seems to be there in the big moments. Hat trick against Edmonton, right? He just seems to, and he'd be the first, I think, to admit he can be a streaky scorer. A lot of scorers are fairly streaky, but what's he up to? Is it 10 now in the playoffs? Yep. But he just seems to, and somebody was asking Shane and I after the game about the whole Florida thing, and I don't know, that's a long time ago, for him and Riley Smith. It might still be somewhere in the back of their psyche, but I think he takes, and the Misfits especially, takes so much pride that they have been there for all 6 years and been a part of this whole experience. But it's amazing these guys that in the big moments just seem to have a knack. I was telling the story the other day, Ashley, and it was a sad tale, but Game 7, San Jose 2019, the whole debacle.
Yep.
It always gets lost in the shuffle sometimes that the Golden Knights tied that game with under a minute left, and it was Marchessault that tied the game.
Yeah, he has a knack for coming
to
up
force
in big
overtime.
moments. Yeah, he has a knack for it, and the beauty of it is that there's no one who fans like to see come up with the big moments more either. So it works on both sides, and he kind of, still has the chip on his shoulder. I think Bruce Cassidy summed it up really well in his press conference right before Game 1, just 2 hours before Game 1. I 5 or 6 times in that one press conference, Bruce Cassidy used the phrase unfinished business, and Jonathan Marchessault has really, really worn that all over. Even after they won the conference final in Dallas, he was over there lifting weights, and I was like, "You're not done yet? You can't go home. You can't go back to the hotel and celebrate for a second?" And he was like, "Job's not done." So I think that's a good example, but certainly a guy you like to see come up in these big moments. You mentioned 10 goals for him, 10 goals for William Karlsson. The fourth line being what it is with William Carrier on it, no coincidence as well. And, so Shea Theodore breaking through last game. It has the fingerprints of the original Misfits all over it.
The other thing that stuck out to me about Marchessault after the 6th game in Dallas, because we were fortunate enough we were there and in the locker room and just kind of taking it all in a little bit, was Marchessault was asked about going back to the final. And he said, "It's great to be back because we lost in 18. And that's something that these guys have been asked about a lot over the last day or so, especially the guys who were here. And Shea Theodore said this to me in VGK today, and Marchessault, I think, kind of echoed that. That team that year was on such a magical ride. I think they both said, not verbatim, but paraphrasing, "Yeah, we thought it was going to be easy. We thought we were going to win." Yeah. And I can't imagine the experience you take from that. because, being here for that, they won game one. James Neal scored in the second game to put them up 1-0. And even then I thought they could actually do this.
Yeah.
But then obviously that didn't happen. This time around, and I did a little thing on with the fine folks at NHL Network yesterday, and they said, what's the difference? And I said, look, if this doesn't work out this year, this will be a big disappointment. I know it's 2 Cup final appearances in 6 years, but this team is built to win right now.
Yeah. This
isn't about we're planning this for 2027. This is right now in 2023. Now, the Panthers are going to have something to say about that. I was interested in Paul Maurice's comments when he used a swear word.
Breathe.
He used a swear word and said everybody blanking breathe.
Yeah.
But I get that. And if you're on that side of it, I don't think they were thrilled with their game the other night either. Lost game 1 of the Boston series, down 3-1 to the Bruins in that first round series, and we know what they did from there. What was it? Win 11 of 12 after being down 3-1, 8 in a row on the road until game 1 the other night. So that's kind of, as much as, it's great that they won game 1. It's a long way to go.
That's
a long, long way to go.
Yeah, it's something that I think has been a big positive thing with this team, though. You talk about how in 2018, maybe they were a little too high. Maybe they bought into the Cinderella story a little bit too much. There have been times with this current team where I have felt like they are treating this so much like normal that it's almost scary. There's definitely been the really light moments where, you could tell on practice days they're playing soccer, they're doing stuff, having fun, they're loose, honestly having the time of their life. You can tell that they all really are best friends in that room. But on the same token, there's not a overwhelming sense of I can't believe we're here. The excitement, they seem to just be doing the same things we've seen them do all season long, and have the same cadence about them. You talk to Aiden Hill after a game, and it's like, dude, you just played the Stanley Cup final. You would have never thought,
I know,
3 months ago when you were injured and there were 3 goalies in front of you, you never would have thought, whatever it might be. So I think that's definitely a big benefit of this group that maybe wasn't there. You were there in 2018, so maybe you know better, but they aren't getting too high. So this year it's kind of Florida writing that Cinderella story right now. It's certainly nothing close to what the Golden Knights did in year 1. But just given their, barely squeaking into the postseason and then being here. So the Golden Knights have to take advantage of that. They have to take advantage of the fact that they are right now the calm, cool, and collected team. Maturity
is what the word, I think, with the Golden Knights. I mean, that team that first year, they had kind of leadership by committee. This year, look, it's obvious. Stone and Pietrangelo and Martinez and Smith and, the misfits that have been here. But I also think on that team in year 1, outside of Fleury, I think I'm right in saying this, I don't know if they had anyone else on that roster that had been in a final or certainly had won it outside of Fleury. This group, it's a different situation now, where they've got, 6 players that have won it.
Yeah.
They've got 2 players of that group that are not playing. Right, and Phil Kessel and Jonathan Quick. So different feel to it, different feel to this group. When I was watching the other night, I wondered, the Florida Panthers haven't been here in 27 years into a final. And I wondered, and the Capitals hadn't, back to 2018, I was saying they were the best team not to win it until they won it, and that was kind of the knock, that they would have great regular seasons and then would fall short. Tampa had won it. The Hawks had their run. Kings had won a couple. Capitals finally break. Pittsburgh obviously wins back-to-back. Capitals finally break through. I do wonder a little bit if, are the Golden Knights this year's version of that Capitals team in 2018 that they've been building this to win?
They have been building it to win. And
are the Panthers the Golden Knights of 2018? That they haven't been here the Golden Knights had never been, obviously.
Right.
It's been a long, long time. I don't know. I don't know if that'll show through here over the next 10 to 12 days, but I did kind of think about that the other night. So we'll find out. But it was a heck of a game 1 win for the Golden Knights. We're going to step aside. We had still lots to get to. How about the Aiden Hill save?
How about it? That's
not bad.
Casual. Not much
bad.
to say about that one. Huh?
No.
Save heard around the world. Speaking of 2018, we'll get to that comparison.
Oh, my goodness. I liked the one the other night a lot more than the other one in Game 2 of 2018.
Yep, as did all of Las Vegas.
Dave Kosher, Ashley Weiss with you here on Nighttime at Noon, getting ready for Game 2 Stanley Cup Final. Golden Knights and Panthers later today, late afternoon at T-Mobile Arena. Reminder for you fans, the Golden Knights have made their return, obviously, back to the Stanley Cup playoffs and into the Stanley Cup final. Make sure you stay up to date by tuning in to the all-new VGK Today podcast. Each episode of VGK Today will be hosted by Golden Knights broadcasters. It'll consist of recaps, previews, interviews throughout the entirety of the team's journey throughout the 2023 postseason. New episodes available every morning. So listen to start your day. You can catch VGK Today by visiting your favorite podcast outlet. Said we will talk about the Adin Hill save, talk about Sergei Bobrovsky, kind of the goaltending matchup in this series, and lots more. That's after this on Fox Sports Las Vegas. Dave Gosher along with Ashley Weiss as we get set for game number 2 of the Stanley Cup Final at T-Mobile Arena later on tonight. Golden Knights leading the Florida Panthers 1-0 in the Cup Final. Of course, reminder for you, if you want to catch the Golden Knights and grab a bite at the same time, be sure to stop by Mackenzie River Pizza Grill and Pub and eat like a Golden Knight. Open every day from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Fans can dine in and catch their favorite games right by the rink. Call 702-916-2999 or visit MackenzieRiverPizza.com to learn more. The attention of the hockey world is on Vegas and Fort Lauderdale. Well, Sunrise, Florida, but you know what I'm saying. Pretty cool, actually, I think that. So you got the 4 teams that were in the conference final. Mm-hmm. All warm weather states,
yep.
Right? Carolina, Florida, Texas, Dallas, and Vegas. Gary Bettman was in town to do his media conference before Game 1 the other day, and I think we're going to have a chance to catch up with him a little bit at the rink before Game 2 later on today. But it's pretty awesome when you think about it. No disrespect to any other markets anywhere else, but you're going to have a first-time Stanley Cup champ this year. You've got the Golden Knights that have just been on this incredible run for 6 years. And you've got the Panthers who, win the President's Trophy last year. They kind of stumble through most of the regular season, but they find, speaking of find a way, they get in the playoffs. And I think certainly for the fans of South Florida, nice to have. I always think you have to give fans a reason to care. A reason to care is you have to win, or you have to give your fan base at least the thought that you might have the chance to win, right? And there have been a lot of lean years down there for the Panthers, and then you look across the state, you see what Tampa Bay has been able to do and build just a phenomenal organization over there. So but I think great stuff that, obviously we want this to work out a certain way, but be a great atmosphere here again tonight, and then be great to see what it's going to be like going to Fort Lauderdale for Games 3
Yeah,
and 4.
it'll be interesting for sure. It's great for the game, as you're talking about, what people want to call non-traditional hockey markets. We're definitely seeing how much it's grown in Vegas. I've been blown away in just a couple of years that I've been here. You've seen it grow from the ground up, especially thanks to our good friend and fellow broadcaster Darren Elliott and the work that he and his crew do. But Fort Lauderdale will be a fun time. I was talking to Darren Millard about it on the media day stream that we did, and for media especially, I think these are definitely two of the top destinations that the national media outlets and everyone, they're like, oh, okay, darn, we have to go to Vegas and we have to go to Fort Lauderdale. What a bummer.
Everything sucks. I'm curious to see Mallard when we were there in March, right? That was that 5-game trip.
Yep.
Where the Golden Knights, their only loss was that game.
Florida.
That was the game Aiden Hill got hurt, right? That was the game he got hurt and played well, but then was out for a while. I remember, you and Darren do a lot of work, a lot more than others on nightlife. And I'm out, truth be told, we're lucky. We were able to stay across the street from the beach. It's
not a bad setup.
Right. We're very fortunate. And so I go across there, and I've got my book and my sunblock, and I'm just going to, I'm going to try and relax for a couple hours. And I look over to the shoreline, and who's in a full suit? Tie,
and a bucket hat,
the Gilligan hat, pocket square, Darren Millard. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? And we don't have enough time to get into all the things that was wrong with Darren. But he was shooting something for Nightlife.
Yep.
And then I think at that point maybe he was shooting like
something for the game.
For the game open.
To surprise you and Shane, who I'm sure we're very excited to see that whole situation.
We were wondering if he could make it back from the beach in time for the game. But it'll be phenomenal too.
So stay tuned to all of the Vegas Golden Knights digital channels. You might see more of the Darren Millard.
Lord knows what Mallard's going to do on the beach. So we mentioned, Ashley, this Aiden Hill save early in the second period the other night. So tie game, as we know, and we're gonna play this. The NHL did a nice job, and the Golden Knights retweeted this. They're calling this the Aiden Hill save heard around the world. Here's how it sounded like in multiple languages.
Back out for Montour. Over to the right side. Ai mikä tilanne, mutta ottaa Aiden Hill aivan käsittämättömän torjunnan. Hålla här då. Montour med det spelet. Han räddar. Hill räddar.
Montour, fin pass inn foran! Var ikke den pucken inne? Hvordan i all verden?
Ja, Montour med en god passning videre, så skal den være der her fra Nick Cousins. Wow. Look at this. Oh!
So there you go. That was Aiden Hill the other night in a variety of languages. I only understood barely one, the English one. But that save is, you mentioned the Holtby thing in Game 2 of 2018. Certainly, it's first thing any of us thought of. The other save I thought of was, and it wasn't certainly a save of this magnitude and with this importance, but the Marc-Andre Fleury Superman save he made against Ilya Mikheyev of Toronto 2019, I think. They made a poster out of it. I would think if this works out well, they would make a poster out of this situation.
One would think. I'm going to be honest. You talked about how I was watching it from way up top in the press box. I was watching it all unfold, and I was like, how did that not go in? Did we catch a break there? What did it hit? And then they show the replay on Nitron, the video board, and I was blown away. I was like, I cannot believe I felt dumb for not even realizing. But he was so far, that kind of desperation save. We've seen a lot of desperation saves out of him this playoffs. We've talked about a lot of them. A lot of them have blown us away. That's got to go down of the save of the year.
Oh,
I
yeah,
mean,
no question,
no
right?
question. Not just for the Vegas Golden Knights, but the entire National Hockey League. Unbelievable stuff. We listened to that in a bunch of different languages. I have a feeling there were some words probably said by some people watching that we couldn't repeat on a family-friendly show like this, but absolutely blown away. And again, you talk to him after, and he's like, no big deal.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Nothing to see here.
Just thought I'd get my stick on it. No big deal.
The other thing is I'm watching it here on the laptops.
Yeah.
Is, if your cousin, look, and it happened so quick, right? I think Cousins figured it was an easy tap in.
Yeah.
If he lifts it, it's in. The other thing is Hill makes the initial save, and then the puck is still there in the crease. Cousins is there too, and Alex Pietrangelo gets his stick in there. So great on Pietrangelo to stop, like he didn't
Break it
go
up.
by the net. As I look at it, he certainly could have gone by, but he stops at the post, puts his stick in the way of Cousins' stick, and kind of deflects it away from Vegas' net. So, there are always these moments, I think, Ashley, in the playoffs where when it's all over, you look back at, right? And just these magical moments in games. And certainly they're more magical if your team ends up winning. I mean,
Right.
the Capitals would look back at what Holtby did all those years ago, and that was a defining moment in their championship run. It would be phenomenal if this was a defining moment in a Golden Knights championship run. We'll see if that turns out to be the case, but what a stop by Aiden Hill the other night. Sergei Bobrovsky, goalie Bob, what did you think the other night from what you saw from Bobrovsky, who wasn't in their net to start the playoffs and has been a integral part of them moving on to the Cup final?
Yeah, I had certainly been in the conversation, the Conn Smythe discussion on the Florida Panthers side. The Golden Knights had some good, like the Jonathan Marchessault goal would be hard for anyone to stop that Shea Theodore save situation. I think that the Golden Knights did a good job making it difficult on him. Mark Stone finally scores, but that was his fourth or fifth chance from right there in the slot for Mark Stone. So, you think that, you think one of those is going to go in for a player of his caliber initially. I'm always the first to admit that I am not the Darren Millard or Darren Elliott here. I'm not the goalie expert. So
Millard doesn't know what he's talking about. Press
Millard's the e-bug expert. He's there to give the
He's
guys
there
some confidence.
Yeah,
when
boost
they
the
need.
shooter's confidence.
Yeah. But I'm curious, Dave. I'm curious your thoughts on Bobrovsky, because it seems like the Panthers fan base seems like he was not himself.
Yeah, look, I think that if you're him, I'm with you. The Marchessault goal, not much you can do about bang, bang play. Great pass by Stevenson. The Stone goal,
That's it out of me.
That's what he does. That's what he does. And a good non-call on the high stick. I mean, it looked good in real time. And then I think if there's a book on Bobrovsky, you got to go upstairs. He's so good low. He's so good laterally.
And Bruce Cassidy pointed out yesterday, one of those Bruce Cassidy things where he's so honest, and it's so great for us.
Yeah.
But he was admitting, sometimes you can get him to crouch a little bit, and that's when you go upstairs. So, Bobrovsky, Bruce Cassidy doesn't feel like that's going to hurt his game plan. They'll still do the same thing.
And I do think the other, the Smith empty netter, but if you look at it, the Theodore goal and the White Cloud goal, they were wrist shots from distance. Yeah. So I think traffic on both probably, Bobrovsky wasn't able to see through. But I think from the Golden Knights standpoint, and we'll get into this in the next segment, you don't know where the goals are going to come from.
Yeah.
And as we talked about, it happened again the other night. We're going to hear from Bruce Cassidy, their ability to score, their depth scoring throughout the regular season, throughout the playoffs. So we will get to all of that here on Fox Sports Las Vegas on a K-10 Stanley Cup final version. Dave and Ashley, lots more coming up in a moment. Closing in, what are we, 4.5 hours away from game number 2, Stanley Cup Final. Golden Knights and Florida Panthers. You can hear the action right here on the radio, 98.9 FM with Dan and Gary. And Ryan, they got the pregame, Ryan Wallace, they get all sorts of fancy things going on.
I'll be on there.
Are you going to do the
There's
pregame?
a little plug. I'll be doing a pregame hit. And Dave did VGK today. I almost chimed in there earlier. So get that where you find all of your podcasts.
That's right. Tune in. You can see on the our visual medium of whatever we have here. Toshiba Plaza, of course, opens up 2 o'clock this afternoon. Get down there early. Doors to the rink at the Fortress 3:30. Nighttime at 4:30, and then game time a little after 5 o'clock Pacific time. Of course, our friends at TNT have the television call, but when I hear the local call, listen to Dan and Gary on the radio. And then we should tell you, of course, the scene will shift to Florida. Game 3, they always give you the extra travel day in the playoffs, especially when you're flying cross country. So the team will head out tomorrow, practice in Florida Wednesday. Game 3 coming up Thursday in Florida. You can cheer on the Golden Knights on Thursday at Circa Stadium Swim. Doors open at 2 o'clock. That's our watch party for Game 3. Game's, of course, 5 o'clock Pacific time. So the evening gets underway with giveaways, raffle prizes, including VGK authentic items. You also have a pair of tickets for the next Golden Knights home game as well. Fans wearing any VGK gear will receive free entry. All must be 21 or over to get into this. But for more information, visit VegasGoldenKnights.com. You have been to Circa Stadium Swim, have you not? Many times doing cannonballs in the pool?
I have. Absolutely. I don't know what you'd rate my splash, but no, it was such a flex, honestly. Every time they show Stadium Swim on the
Does
broadcast.
That mean good?
Flex is a good thing.
Okay,
yeah,
thank you.
It's a good thing.
All right.
Dave would know.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, look at that. Everyone across the country is tuning into these games and seeing this. It's, Vegas is the coolest city in the world, and why not make the watch parties the coolest in the world?
I'll tell you, it was awesome. And I thought ESPN did a great job, too. Game 6, right in Dallas, they had the watch party at Circa, and they did a great job of kind of coming back, showing that. And it's, and teams do it a lot now. Like, a lot of teams will have watch parties in arena now, too. Mm-hmm. And they do them elsewhere. But, boy, for the Golden Knights to be able to, and we've been fortunate now to kind of spread these around, but there's nothing more Vegas like watching the Stanley Cup Final game from Circa Stadium Swim. 7 pools,
crazy,
massive screen.
Something that we, though, when visitors come in and they say, what's it like living in Vegas? We're always the first to say, hey, you go to the suburbs, it's actually a very family-friendly spot. There will also be a Game 3 watch party in downtown Summerlin.
There you go.
For any families, you need some people under 21 to get in. But if you're 21 or over, why would you not go to Stadium Swim?
Yeah, exactly right. It's funny you say that, Ashley. People are like, oh, Vegas, what's it? Well, it's real people with real families in real neighborhoods with real lives and real jobs, and that also happen to love their hockey team. The other day, before Game 1, right? CNA practice rink here jam-packed.
It's even busy around here today.
Oh my
There's
God.
No practice.
There's nobody here.
The city's buzzing.
We're here, but for better or worse, we're here. Talked about the Golden Knights and their depth scoring. Came through again the other night. So Bruce Cassidy asked about this, especially in their wins, they have scored a lot of goals so far this postseason. Here's what the head coach had to say.
We've lost, we haven't, right? So there's obviously credit to the other team. They check well. They work hard to keep pucks out of their net. They have good goaltenders. So I just think it's our personnel. They've got guys with histories of scoring. And I think the way that we've balanced the lines, that you can't focus on one particular area, right? William Karlsson has 10 goals. Their line was a little bit quiet last night. But Stevie's line got a couple. Theo was one of them, but they were on the ice. And so I think it's that balance in our line that's allowed it to do us every night. Special teams can help you there. Our power play has been hit or miss. Last night we got one on the power play and one empty net, so it doesn't, but still we found a way to score 4 goals, which is usually enough to win, and has been the case for us when we have. So D pitched in last night, 2 from the D core. We hadn't had a lot early on. Now Petro had one I think just a few games ago, and if Theo heats up here a little bit, Whitey's got a couple now, a big one in Edmonton, I remember he scored. So the timely goals as well from them.
Bruce Cassidy yesterday at his press conference here at City National Arena. The Golden Knights actually now, they scored 3 times in the third period the other night. In the playoffs now, they've averaged, 3.72-ish goals per game, which is the most they've averaged in a playoff year. And I think most encouraging, at least from my standpoint, is the way they've scored.
Yeah.
Years past, they had issues with it. They have been a tremendous rush team here for years, but go back to the Dallas series in the bubble, go back to the Montreal series a year later, those goals dry up, and they've talked about it openly. They had to find a way if they were going to continue to try to press to their ultimate goal to score goals in different ways. You think Marchessault's goal the other night, in tight. Stone's a great reactionary play, but he beats Bobrovsky from 20 feet. They scored from distance on Theodore's goal and on Whitecloud's goal, and then Smith with the empty netter. But we have seen that throughout the playoffs. Bruce Cassidy talks about getting to the inside ice, get to the interior. I think there comes a point either you do it or you don't do it.
Yeah.
And they have made it a point to do it here as the playoffs have moved on.
And it's nice to see it all come full circle because it seemed like that was the biggest frustration Bruce Cassidy had early in the season, really to about the halfway point maybe. I think the second half of the regular season he felt like, they had really bought into it and they were starting to score different ways, starting to score from being hard on the forecheck, cycling the puck down low, whatever it may be. But certainly they are scoring in different ways. And a fun fact for you, if they were to score 5 goals tonight, the last time a team has scored 5+ goals in the first 2 games of a Stanley Cup final was 2006 Carolina Hurricanes. Won the
There
cup
you go.
that year,
Yep.
as you know,
Yep.
big year. So
Yep.
cross your fingers for a 5-goal night because that'd be pretty cool. And as we've seen, it's not that unheard of for this team at this point, even in the playoffs.
You know what I didn't know? And our stat man extraordinaire, Ray LaBeouf,
Yeah.
is the best in the business, and he sends out. So a little backstory, during the regular season, he's our game day statistician at home. He sits right next to Shane and I in the booth. He's in my
Okay.
ear and Shane's ear. Makes us sound a lot better and smarter than we are, especially me. And on the road, we even use him now. There's a computer program we use that we're able to communicate throughout the road games. So as the playoffs have gone on, Dan and Gary have continued to use Ray. Why wouldn't you? He's so good at what he does. So, he sends out the packet to all of us, though, his game day packet, which today is 44 pages. God love him. It's in detail like I would never even think about. At the top of the packet, and I did not know this, but he would, there's one visiting team in the NHL, one opponent that has never won at T-Mobile Arena. Who do you think it is? The team the Golden Knights are playing in the Stanley Cup Final. I don't believe in jinxes. I don't believe in curses. I walk under ladders. I don't mind black cats in my path. Florida Panthers have not had success in this building. Regular season or now, obviously, in the only playoff game they've ever played here. What I like about, and that might not mean much, but it means something.
It
They
does,
haven't had
no
success
doubt.
here.
Yeah. And teams remember that.
Sure. And I think from the Golden Knights standpoint, they have gotten so much better at home over the,
Oh, yes.
maybe take it from the All-Star break forward, right? Where, they had a great start to the season, and, sometimes that gets lost in the mix. They were 13-2 out of the gates, and they were good at home. I mean, you win 13 of 15 straight out, you're doing a lot right. And then they kind of had that middle where it wasn't great, and then they took off after the All-Star break. But a lot of that was their improved play on home ice. Bruce Cassidy said at some point, the numbers have to.
They have to balance out.
The scale's got to balance
They
itself
get tired
out.
of us asking them
Oh,
why.
I can't
What's
blame
different
them.
on the road?
Yeah.
What's different at home? And
Yeah.
all they say, well, I guess we play a simple road game. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, I'm sure they're glad that those scales evened out a bit, too, so we
Yeah.
can stop asking them about it.
Much, much better. They've had a lot of success against the East this year, against
Yeah.
the Atlantic Division this year. Bruce Cassidy, of course, with his many years in Boston, they had their best record against the East that they've had in any season in their history. And they've got to hope that continues in this series. Did you take a moment? I tried to, maybe during the anthem the other night, to look around and be like, this is insane.
It is
That here
insane.
they are in the Cup final again. Just the whole, I don't know, I just keep thinking, Ashley, of all the other markets and all the other teams and that would give anything to have the success this team has had. But I did take a moment during the anthem the other night to try to kind of because when we're doing the games, you got the anthem going, but and you're certainly paying attention to that. But then your mind's kind of split. Okay, out of that, broadcast wise, we're going to this, we're going to this.
Yeah.
You kind of to be able to kind of stand there and just look around. And I was like, man, this is this is unbelievable.
Yeah, you hear the players talking about having to be in the moment and soak
Yeah.
it on in and really be mindful of trying to be present. But I think that goes for everyone. I think that goes for the fans who are taking it in, whether it's their first or second time taking this in, depending on how long they've been here, how long they've been fans. Maybe they didn't make it out to a game the first time around, whatever it might be. The staff, the whole city, it's a special thing. Like you said, it's the team really has brought the city together. It's a special time. I'm very glad that Vegas has home ice advantage in this series so that they could be the ones to kick it off. See, there you go. We hadn't even talked about
Yes,
this.
and I'm glad that our people
on
are
the
showing
strip,
this.
jaw-dropping, especially that right there is what I was going to say. Fremont Street, unbelievable. Chills up and down.
They were saying, so this was Friday night, right between 8 and 9. The largest takeover of all the billboards, I think, ever, Unity in Vegas, from, we're showing it on our social media channels everywhere. The Paris, Fremont Street, Park MGM, everybody, Allegiant Stadium, go right on down the line. Unbelievable that you would. I always tell people this, Ashley, and I didn't know it until I moved here. Vegas isn't that big, right?
Yeah.
It's not a big sprawling. I mean, you've got what's the strip? 4 miles?
I think it's 6.
6 miles.
I could be wrong.
Not very big though.
Yeah.
When you think about it, to see that the other night, just all at once, all for a full hour. How much people are behind this team? Go Knights, go! Good luck in the final. And they had said that's never. I can't tell you anything about the days of UNLV basketball when they had the dynasty 30 years ago, but to see that the other night was just phenomenal. How they were able to pull that off.
Yeah, it's special. And Dave, this would be a good time to use the vocabulary I taught you. That would be a flex.
Flex. That's a flex.
That was a flex.
No question about it. Flexing.
No cap.
Fax, no printer. Yep. I know all the lingo, Ashley, through you and my young nephews and others. I actually take notes. So Shane's son, Zayden,
Yes.
who I love to death, I text him, and he'll text me back, and I usually give the phone to you or somebody on it.
Don't give it to me. I am the least cool.
What language is he
yeah.
speaking? So, that was a heck of a flex the other night by everyone involved here. Golden Knights gearing up for the second game of the Cup final, trying to go up 2-0 on the Florida Panthers. And as we said, we got one final segment to go here. We're going to talk a little bit more about Florida. Panthers have been in this position, dropping game 1 of a series. They've been able to respond time and again in the playoffs. Golden Knights are obviously hoping that they can take a 2-0 lead to South Florida coming up for game 3, which will be on Thursday. But we will get to that and our final segment coming up in a moment on Fox Sports Las Vegas. All right, Dave and Ashley with you as we get ready for game number 2, Stanley Cup Final, coming up at T-Mobile Arena tonight, just after 5 o'clock local time for puck drop of the second game of the final. As we said, all the festivities at Toshiba Plaza, just what a place to be. The place to be. Where else would you want to be? Starting at 2 o'clock this afternoon. Doors to the Fortress open up at 3:30, nighttime at 4:30, and a little after 5. Face-off for game number 2 between the Golden Knights and the Florida Panthers. Quick reminder for you, of course, it's hard to believe, but football back here going on right now. The Vegas Nighthawks return. Second season underway. Become a part of the Nighthawks family. Don't miss out on the action of the Dollar Loan Center in Henderson. Full season membership start at just $15 per ticket per game. For more information about tickets, venue, parking, and lots more, check out nighthawksfootball.com. So there you go. Golden Knights and Panthers tonight. So for the Florida Panthers, they had not first time they'd given up 5 in a game since Game 6 against Boston round 1, and they won that game, right? 7-6. First loss of any kind in the playoffs since Game 4 of their second round series against Toronto, and they have done well in these scenarios so far in the playoffs. 3-0 in Game 2s. All of those wins have come on the road. So, we talk so much about the Golden Knights and how they put themselves in a good spot.
Yeah.
From the Panthers' standpoint, you don't get to where they're at right now by panicking. I think they realize, and they weren't at their best the other night either, that you would expect them, I think, to bounce back with a much better game tonight.
Yeah, I think that's why you had Paul Maurice coming in the press conference room and telling the media to just breathe with his feeling that everyone else was more panicked than him and his group. So, yeah, I think it's definitely important for Vegas to not take this as an opportunity to sit back. No one gets to, whether you're talking about Florida or anyone else, no one gets to this point without having composure.
Yeah.
And composure is a word that's going to be important for Vegas, too, because they were very good at handling the Florida Panthers' physicality, the after the whistle stuff. But that stuff can wear on you as the series goes on. So on both sides, I think composure is kind of the key word.
Are the guys wearing the T-shirts that hurts to win? Bruce Cassidy's quote, "It hurts to win." I think they've got some, right?
Yep.
Yeah. They should make those available for the people.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I think those would be not that they don't have enough stuff. They're selling right literally below where we're sitting here at the Arsenal.
You've got the How About Those Vegas Golden Knights T-shirts. Those are good ones. You got the Elvis one.
Yeah, the situation with the glasses. It's pretty good stuff. Out there, notice that. Okay.
No, I like the It Hurts to Win T-shirts that they're all wearing, though. I think everyone really likes that. They clearly all really buy into it, whether it's blocking a shot, taking a hit to make a play, whatever it might be. They seem all in on that.
So we're going to hear from Alex Pietrangelo. He's asked about the Panthers, their forwards. Do they present a different challenge than what they've faced here so far in the playoffs? Here's number 7.
Well, they're going to come hard. They got some guys that are going to be physical. We know that. I think our group collectively on the back end can stand that. I think that our size can handle that. But, Dallas came hard too. Edmonton came hard. Winnipeg came hard. So I think for us as a group, we're prepared for that. I feel like we've been through that, to get to this point. I think the big thing and the big conversation is they got some guys that are pretty creative down below the goal line. So it's for us is trying to transport that puck, get it moving as fast as possible because they play pretty aggressively as a group of 5.
Alex Pietrangelo, who has obviously been here before, winning a Stanley Cup with the St. Louis Blues in 2019 against, at that time, Bruce Cassidy's Boston Bruins. They do have some guys up front, Ashley, that can be a load to handle. You mentioned Matthew Tkachuk.
Matthew Tkachuk's a big one.
Alexander Barkov. Petrangelo's point is they're real creative down low, especially below the goal line. Shane was saying the other night, and they love to work pucks low to high, point shots, traffic to the net. But, it's been talked about a lot, but it's worth repeating. The Golden Knights defense core of 6, and you chatted with Zach Whitecloud yesterday in a nice one-on-one. They're all right. They're the third pair, I guess. But boy, and his answers are always great, thorough. Him and Nick Hague, whatever the team needs to help us win.
Yep, they pride themselves on being reliable.
Yep, whatever it is.
Was it Marty St. Louis in Montreal early in the season who called them the best bottom pair in the National Hockey League.
That
I
sounds
think that's
about
who
right.
it was, and it was pretty early in the season. I mean, we've known, how good they are. We've seen them grow just as the last couple seasons have gone on, but man, has it been a difference in this playoffs. And
Yeah.
it's also been entertaining and fun for me to watch Nick Hague, whether it's him asserting himself physically, or I feel like he's doing something to get under the other team's skin really well, because you got the Darnell Nurse situation. You had him kind of, laughing and giving the thumbs up to Max Domi last round, and, last game taking a couple licks to the face
Yeah.
and just laughing, literally laughing about it. It's been fun to watch, whether you're talking about Zach Whitecloud's maturity on and off the ice, or the way Nick Hague's been getting involved. There's a shot of it.
Yeah, we're showing on our Twitter stream. Yeah, Bennett popping him in the chops. My favorite, I'm with it. I think the Domi one where he gave him the thumbs up and told him, good job,
Yeah.
as he was getting kicked out of the game.
Yep.
Was, but we're showing it here. He's in a kind of in a chokehold as Nick Hague. Mark Stahl's got him, and then Bennett took a pop at him. Kachuk's in the middle of it. And,
Yep.
things kind of got. And that's the other part of it, too. Look, the Panthers play that game. They're on the edge, right?
Yeah.
They come pretty hard at you from a physical standpoint. But I think the Golden Knights' ability, and Pietrangelo touched on this, like I don't know, they've been through this. I mean,
Yeah.
you go back to the Edmonton series. I mean, they ran Pietrangelo every chance they could get. The Edmonton series got pretty nasty.
It did.
I didn't think the Dallas one it didn't get, over the line.
Yeah.
We'll see where this one goes. It's only one game into it. Bruce Cassidy always uses the phrase, it heats up. Each series heats up as it goes on. But I don't think the Golden Knights are fazed by that too much. And, and discipline's going to be an enormous part of this.
Yeah.
Enormous part of it. The last thing anyone wants to do is you take a needless penalty, and then, team scores on the power play.
Right.
Either way. That's not what you're looking for either. But I do come back to, actually, they've had guys that have been through this before, guys that have won cups. Is Eric Stahl the only? Pretty sure. Is he the only guy in Florida that's won it with Carolina?
Yep.
Your aforementioned
Yep.
06 Cup. So, from the Golden Knights standpoint, guys like Pietrangelo, guys like Martinez, guy like Barbashev, right?
Yeah.
Stevenson was on the other side in 2018, but among others, Kessel, Jonathan Quick, don't discount what he's meant to Aiden Hill.
Yeah.
I think he's been, I chatted with Quick just a couple minutes yesterday, and and to his credit, he tries to downplay it. He goes, look, we've got a lot of guys that have won it or have been in a final, and that's I love that approach from him. But I think his ability, he said if it's going well with Hill, he tries to stay away.
Yeah. Wait until if it ain't fixed, don't
Right,
break it.
yeah,
Don't break it.
yeah.
It's not broke, don't fix it, man.
Yes.
I can't talk. Same thing though. Phil Kessel too.
Yeah, same deal.
Overheard him. I was at elevator with him and Michael Amadio after Michael Amadio's first game of last series when he was put
Yeah.
back in, and Phil was just checking in on him. How did it go? The leadership in the room. All over, not only the leaders, but the way that everyone who hasn't been there truly listens and values their opinion. It's taken this team a long way, and hopefully takes them all the way, Dave.
What a time of year. Stanley Cup final in Vegas once again. Game 2, of course, tonight at the Fortress between the Golden Knights and the Florida Panthers. Gates open at 3:30. The Plaza, 2 o'clock. Get down there early. Get there early. Stay late. Soak it all in as the Golden Knights try to take a 2-0 lead in the Stanley Cup final. You can listen to it right here, 98.9 FM with Dan and Gary. Our thanks to Floyd and Songy and Jared. For Ashley, I'm Dave. Enjoy Game 2, Stanley Cup final, Golden Knights and Panthers. Talk to you next time on Fox Sports Las Vegas.